When travellers take the roads out of Marrakesh to the great south of Morocco, they must climb the peaks of the high Atlas Mountains and then overcome the final foothills of Jebel Barni before seeing more desert-like scenery and the first dunes of the Sahara Desert appear before them. Abdou knows the region like the back of his hand. He is the on-site representative of a travel agency that offers their clients the opportunity to discover the magic of the desert.
I'm on a recce here, looking for a site where hikers can camp, and I have to take the GPS reading for this campsite. There are quite a few tour operators who do this kind of thing in Morocco. There's a lot of competition in Morocco, so we constantly have to create new itineraries to avoid bumping into other groups. This site allows us to get off the beaten track a little, and it allows people to camp peacefully in the silence of the desert.
Due to the growing demand to discover the great south of Morocco, about 15 tents have been erected 2 hours along the trail from the first village. A permanent camp has been set up by the travel agency that Abdou works for, a camp that he comes to check on every month.
It is our role to explain to the visitors about washing, as they only have 1 bucket of water per person, whereas at home, they're used to leaving the tap running. Also, we explain about the use of fire, as we do not have wood in the desert. The wood that is used comes from elsewhere. It is not our own, and therefore, we have to keep an eye on how much we use. We have to preserve these resources.
Thanks to the local team, made up mainly of settled Berbers, at the dune campsite you can get a feel for the desert, either by trekking or going on a leisurely camel ride. At this camp, the challenge is to find a balance between the natural environment and comfort, between making tourists feel welcome and respect for nature, whilst also trying to develop responsible tourism. Heading eastwards, the last important stop-off for travellers on their way south is Mahmid. It's the last oasis before the desert, and the palm grove that shelters the old town keeps the surrounding 20 kilometres cool. Hassan is from the Sahara and is the son of a camel herder. Born here, he has always lived in the desert which he says cleanses the body and soul. He wants the lifestyle, history and traditions of the desert to be shown to people through sometimes unexpected encounters.
Due to the rain that we had 4 or 5 days ago, all the nomads have chosen to go further up towards the Atlas Mountains, as the ground is hardest there. To the south of Hamada du Dra, there's a lot of mud. And also the female camels are pregnant, so they make the most of things and take all the herds back up north.
2 hours along the track from Mahmid, the Chigaga dunes are the most impressive in Morocco, reaching almost 200 meters in height. They are the main attraction in the region and are an amazing landscape for hiking or camel rides.
As you can see over there, all the people from Mahmid Zagora and Ouarzazate have come and set up small camps. There are 17 of them around the Chigaga dunes.
Hassan has built his camp of Berber tents slightly away from the main dune. When he invites his visitors there, he welcomes them with traditional bread, baked without an oven, directly on the sand and under the embers of a simple campfire. Hassan would like to see his region grow and yet avoid the risk of overexploitation by tourism.
For us, the Sahara represents the gardens of God. The Sahara is sand, sun, oasis, spring water, camels. It's everything. For us, the Sahara is... How can I say it? I cannot tell you what the Sahara means. You have to live here, love it, respect it, in order to understand its true value.
We're going to eat inside. Here's the tagine, vegetables, chicken and lemon.
Thank you.
Bon appetit.
It's good.
Leaving Mahmid, the south of Morocco stretches across arid hills and lush valleys in the direction of the Ouarzazate region, which, in addition to the natural beauty of its landscape, offers the most beautiful and fascinating Berber architecture, the Kasbahs, the traditional dwellings of North Africa that can be found here in their thousands, and above all, the architecture of the Ksars, the fortified villages, the citadels made out of red clay, which are the last vestiges of a glorious past and an exceptional architectural heritage. Overlooking the valley on a rocky peak, Ayit Ben Haddou is without doubt the most famous of these citadels. The village is said to have been built in the 11th century and is listed as a World Heritage Site. To access this fortress, Jean-Pierre, who manages a guest house on the road out of Ouarzazate, has to, like all tourists, cross a small river on a mule. In terms of construction, dry stone is replaced here with rammed earth or pisé, a mixture of clay, water and straw. But when it is not well maintained, the pisé does not withstand a lot of rain or humidity. It crumbles and becomes earth once again.
Hello, Boussard. How are you?
Boussal is the caretaker of this temple and an anthropologist. With the foreman of the site, he oversees the restoration work on the ground. To save this heritage site, which is battling to survive the erosion of time, they use ancient know-how preserved by a few local craftsmen, as well as traditional building techniques. The earth is dug out on the actual construction site and then poured into a mould before being spread out and then packed down.
In days gone by, the Ksar, or the village, was surrounded by a wall. This wall had crumbled away, so we have tried to bring it back to life here. And now, after...
It was not that long ago.
No, it was not that long ago. We started this work 3 months ago. So you see, it changes the look. It's taking shape.
You get the sense of the village.
That's the old layout, if you like, the old perimeter of the village.
The restoration of Ayit Ben Haddou is being carried out right down to the very last detail, but the site, which welcomes many visitors, is fragile.
A balance has to be found between the National Heritage Site and the arrival of tourists. And what is being done at Ayit Ben Haddou exemplifies this idea. We're trying to mark out a tourist trail, so there are passageways for tourists. We're trying to reinforce them and reinforce all the walls of the narrow streets. We are also trying to block off all the fragile areas. For this reason, we are also trying to work with tourism to assist it, and that gives us ideas for the conservation and restoration work.
It is in the company of Issue, a guide he himself has taught and who is native to the region, that Jean-Pierre likes to take his clients out on treks to discover Jebel Saro, a mountain range, volcanic in origin, which reaches an altitude of 2,000 meters, and also to meet the Ayat Atta people, a Berber tribe of the High Atlas.
Adi, how are you? All okay? Fine. Are you well?
These are the last nomad shepherds in the region, members of a Berber civilization still untouched by the modern world. As always when he visits Ahmed's family, Jean-Pierre carefully respects the rules of hospitality and the traditions.
Come over here, Mimou. I have brought you something from Ouarzazate. Here you go. Some sugar. Do you want any oranges? Give some to your sister, too, for breakfast.
It looks like the fire's getting going. You'd think we were at a hammam.
A hammam?
There you go. It's going well.
Add more wood to kindle the flames.
There you go. Mind you, don't overdo it.
Such is the nomadic lifestyle. They settle, then have to up sticks, leaving their pastures after 2 or 3 days with their family and herds. It is these sometimes fleeting encounters, these simple moments, that Jean-Pierre wants to bring to the fore and to share.
We are in tune with these nomads because, firstly, we have known them a very long time. We love them. They are our friends, our family. Therefore, we want to preserve this environment that we have a very strong bond with. To protect these relationships, obviously, you have to respect people. And we do respect them. We ensure that they have work. Respect is how you speak and behave, how you arrive and respond to being welcomed. But it's also about sharing the benefits.
At the beginning of June, the migration to summer pastures begins for Ahmed and his family. It will take several weeks and will mean a return to the slopes of the Atlas Mountains. Leaving the Jebel Saro Mountains and crossing the Anti-Atlas, the backbone of Morocco that separates the Sahara from the coastal regions, we reach the Atlantic Ocean, which forms the western frontier of southern Morocco. A few kilometers to the south of Agadir, away from the sun, sea and sand mass tourism of Morocco, stretches the Souss Massa region. It is here, on a narrow stretch of coastline, that the National Park of Souss Massa was created. In just a few years, it has become a major force in the protection of endangered animals in the whole of the Sahelo-Saharan area. These include the oryx, the largest antelopes in the semi-arid Saharan regions, whose horns can reach over 1 meter in length. As he does every 2 weeks, Mohammed, the park warden, carries out a tour of inspection. During this breeding period, he is concerned about predators such as foxes and stray dogs who could attack the antelopes and gazelles in the park.
Here we are watching a group of Dorcas gazelles, around 15 individuals with several young. These Dorcas gazelles have been reintroduced to the Souss Massa National Park since 96-97 in a bid to increase their numbers and produce a nursery stock of animals that we can then try to reintroduce into other regions of Morocco.
In the Souss Massa Park, we can also see the largest birds on the planet, ostriches. But a species of ostrich confined to the Sahara region, different to the one that has evolved in South Africa.
We are watching a group of red-necked ostriches, a species that is threatened with extinction. The males are black and the females are speckled brown and grey. Right now, it is the end of the breeding season, and these birds are omnivores. They're there trying to find seeds or other things to feed on.
The animals are not only the focus of protection and reintroduction, they also represent a tourist attraction for the park, thanks to the creation of discovery trails from which visitors can observe them. Alan settled in the very heart of the park a little more than 2 years ago. He has created a place to live according to his principles, to live at one with nature and to be self-sufficient in terms of energy and food. It is a small camp with a few Berber tents, which minimizes the impact on the environment. Alan is developing an original idea here. He does not only want to provide ecotourism, he wants to be the first 100% organic hotel in Morocco. A few kilometers from the fishing village of Tifnit, Alan offers his clients non-polluting activities such as diving, fishing, or hiking. Above all, there is surfing, Alan's passion. He teaches it to his guests and devotes most of his time to surfing in little-known places where not even many enthusiasts go.
There will always be a place for this kind of tourism. Whether it should be developed, well, it shouldn't grow too much. It should stay on a smallish scale for places like this. After all, we're not here to compete with mass tourism. Mass tourism will always exist as long as we live in a consumer society where we need to go fast, make quick trips with package deals, where things are cheap. However, behind all that, we also have to stop and think. When we buy an inclusive flight and hotel package, we're not going to mention actual prices, but for an unbeatable price, we have to ask ourselves questions about where the food comes from. Why is the food so cheap? Perhaps because people aren't paid well. Perhaps it's intensively farmed. Perhaps the people who work in the hotels that welcome this mass tourism aren't paid well. Basically, we have to ask ourselves those questions.